What are you going to be cooking for us today, Mitch?
Well, a couple of little fish dishes that we cook in the restaurant in the Seahorse in Dartmouth, which is where I cook, and they're also big firm family favourites. So we're in sea bass season at the moment, and there's loads and loads of it being landed down at the market here in Plymouth and up in Brixham and Dartmouth as well. So we're just going to cook a piece of sea bass and with a pepper stew called a peperonata. I take a lot of my inspiration for cooking from Italy. I love the way the Italians prepare seafood, that very simplistic approach, just with one or two other flavours. So the peperonata is a stew of onions, peppers, garlic, a little bit of chilli, a little bit of cumin, and a bit of saffron in there as well. So I'm just going to take the peppers and just cut them into sort of nice chunks. And it's nice to use a mixture of peppers as well, so a kind of red, yellow, green is pretty good, but red and yellow gives you something that's really quite nice and vibrant. Let's just make sure that doesn't burn.
The onion, Mitch.
The onion, just
slice them or chop them?
Just slice, please, chef.
Okay, no problem.
Perfect.
Thank you.
And God, Plymouth is a great place to eat out these days, eh? I mean, just amazing what's happened over the last couple of years here. And I've been watching it, thinking I've got to open here, and then I found that lovely site next to the aquarium and thought, this is it, this is the one. So it's been great to be here. Many of you cook fish at home? I think, in the southwest people do.
Garlic chopped?
Garlic chopped, please, Jack. More often, yeah, and do you think so? Yeah, more often than not. Sorry?
We're from Cheshire.
Well, I think because we have good fish here, people get access to it. But one of the problems I come across when you sort of you start talking to people is that they say, yeah, I love fish, but just can't get hold of good fish. And I think it's a real kind of barrier to people being able to.
And it's getting expensive.
Fish is very expensive. There is absolutely no doubt about it. I mean, you've got lots of good white fish coming from Norway and Iceland, and but your local species, your sort of turbots, your bass, brill, all that kind of lovely stuff is expensive. But when you actually look at the cost of actually going out and catching a piece of fish, price of fuel, price of the boat, price of the license, price of the crew, it's one of those things that you have occasionally, rather than all the time. So, olive oil, Jack.
Yes, there.
Perfect. So I've got some good olive oil going in pan. Good slug off. Like lots of good olive oil. In with peppers. This is probably not going to cook in the time that I've got for this demo, but it'll give you an idea. Onions in there. Little garlic in there. And I'm going to put a splash of water. We've got a splash of water?
Water, yeah.
Always good when you're kind of stewing down vegetables, just a tiny, tiny bit of water and the lid on, and it kind of stops them burning in the oil if the oil's getting too hot. Thank you very much. So just a splash, and a bit of salt at this stage as well. Okay, so we'll give that a... Now this is more of a stew than a fry. What you want to happen is for all those peppers to actually really stew down, which is rather than sort of fry and tinge at the end. So we just leave that. And we'll get on with our spaghetti and clams for a minute. One of my absolute favourite dishes. You can't beat a plate of clams. But if you find it hard getting clams, mussels, perfectly good in something like this. In fact, a whole mix of seafood in this simple preparation of just garlic, parsley, white wine. Add some squid in there, some prawns in there, mussels. You can really make, something quite fantastic. And I don't add tomatoes in my clams, but some people like a little bit of chopped tomato, which is also very nice too, or even just one plum tomato from a tin, just squeezed in. But I'm going to make this without. So I've got some olive oil, some sliced garlic going in there. I can have some parsley, please, Jack.
Parsley,
some
yeah. Flat or curly?
Curly, please. Now, the olive oil, it's important to use good olive oil. And in my kitchen at home and in the kitchen at the restaurants, I tend to buy top grade stuff. I mean, this is okay for salad dressings, but if you're going to use olive oil just as a finishing for fish, then it's worth going to a deli and investing in some really good Spanish or some really good Italian oil. Some of them are kind of like 10, 12 pounds a bottle, but you know what? They last for ages. Keep them in the fridge. And just finishing is fantastic. You'd be amazed at the different flavours that you can get from olive oil. So I'm just waiting for that garlic to just slightly, ever so slightly, start to brown. And what it's doing is it's flavouring the oil. So we're getting that very nice garlic flavour. Bit of curly parsley, good old curly parsley, which I love. And I like to add a little bit at the beginning. So again, we get some flavour. That garlic is just on the turn. Just, you don't want to kind of get it brown, but you want to get it, you know, if it starts to brown, then you get a kind of acrid taste. But if you imagine that kind of oil just becoming very, very nice and garlicky. In with the clams. Turn up the heat. And a lid. This pan will do for a lid. Just give them a little bit of time. We're going to add some wine in a second once that heat gets right up. Such a simple dish, this. And you can, if you want, add a little bit of chilli. I tend to use a lot of dried chilies in seafood cookery. You can buy sort of Italian pepperoncinis, which give a really fantastic heat, but they don't burn you. You just get this lovely kind of all-round sort of lovely taste in the mouth. So I'm just going to add a piece of chilli like that. That'll flavour the oil and everything. Give it a good toss around. And then some white wine, just a splash. Maybe a touch more, if you like it. And what you want is for the clams to open. And clams are actually full of seawater. So what you find is the clams open, all the seawater comes out, and it makes a really nice emulsification with the wine. So you get this nice thick sauce which coats the pasta, which is what you want. Otherwise, it all just drops off. Now I'll stew there. A lot of moisture coming out of those peppers now. So I'll keep the lid on for a second.
So really, you're steaming it in the same time.
I'm steaming it. I'm frying it and steaming it at the same time, so you get everything really, really
Beautiful.
Sweated down.
Yeah.
Little cumin. We've got saffron, Jack. Did I have?
I'm afraid not.
Okay.
No.
Well, sometimes a little bit of saffron in there is very nice. Just a pinch of saffron, you get that really kind of nice little depth to the peppers. So these clams are all opening. And same rule with clams as mussels. If there are any, after we've boiling them, if there are any that aren't open, discard them. There they go.
Yeah, because normally it means that they are actually dead if they don't open, don't they?
It does, absolutely.
Or there may be some sand in it, or... Yeah.
So a tiny bit of salt, just a tiny bit, because remember the clams themselves are quite salty. But I quite like that hit of the sea when I eat clam vongole. It's actually probably one of my desert island dishes, to be honest. And you can see that sauce, look, see the clam juice coming out, the wine is evaporating, and it's kind of just thickening. Come on, you devils, open. If you're finding they're taking a bit of time to open, which they will, clams will take a little bit longer than mussels, lid on and just give them a second to steam. Back to my stew. Have we got cumin, Jack?
Yes.
Ah, good. Cumin and peppers are very,
lovely herbs,
very good
love
spice. Yeah. And you know, don't be shy with it. Good teaspoon of cumin in there.
So I gave you a little flavor like in Morocco or somewhere like that.
Yeah, it's just that little background.
Morocco, Tunisia, and yeah, I can smell it here.
In Sicily, where this stew comes from.
Yeah, Sicily as well.
You're very, it's very influenced by that kind of Moroccan sort of Arabic food as well. And the other nice thing to put in here is things like soaked sultanas. So if you imagine you're getting this really lovely kind of sweet and sour taste, because I think with fish you need something that's quite, you know, that's why capers, pickles, vinegars, all those things work really well with fish because it's actually quite a bland ingredient, and what you need is something to kind of, you know, lift it and get there. So that's why we add a bit of vinegar and sugar to this at the end, which is very nice. So anyway, that's cooking down. Our clams are absolutely there. Going to get a little bit more parsley to go in. So a bit more parsley in there. And I've got some spaghetti over here, which has already been cooked and then just washed off. So Jacques cooked it earlier, washed it off in a bit of just ordinary water, and there it is ready to go to make it easier. But if we were in the restaurant, we'd be just taking this straight from the pasta boiler. Sorry? Dried pasta. I love dried pasta. Right? For shaped pasta like spaghetti, linguine, macaroni, always dried pasta. Only ever use fresh pasta for things like lasagnas and raviolis. So, just give everything a toss together. And the idea of pasta dishes is to make sure that the spaghetti is just coated with the sauce. My mum used to make bolognese, it was like bleeding soup. You know, it's this great big bit of bolognese in the middle, and you know, nothing's stuck to the pasta. And actually the pasta is just a carrier. And that will just taste of chili, garlic, and seawater. And also, is it possible to have a plate check?
Yeah, here's one there.
A plate rather than a bowl.
Oh, a plate.
Yeah, but
yes, sorry.
that big ones. Yeah,
I beg your pardon.
Spaghetti with clams, for me, is one of those dishes that needs to be shared. So, you know, we give everyone a plate at home, and then we bring a lovely big plate of steaming clams and pasta to the table, and away you go. And it doesn't matter what seafood you put in there, garlic, parsley, white wine, a little salt, a little chili will give you the most perfect dish every time. And lemon. Have you got some lemon?
Lemon,
there,
yeah.
it's right in front of me. And just...
Again, when you talk about Sicily, in Sicily they got beautiful lemons, haven't they?
fantastic, yeah.
It's very lemony, if that's the
well,
right word.
Lemon and seafood.
Yeah.
And I would just serve that in the middle of the plate. Spoon and a fork, everyone helps themselves, and you have this wonderful, wonderful feast,
Beautiful.
which is great.
Okay.
So I'll give you that one, Jack.
Yeah.
So this is all stewing down nicely, and you can see that oil, see the peppers really softening down. Which is a bit of steam from the clams, why not? Perfect, we're on. So now we're going to cook our sea bass, because this is sort of probably 5 or 6 minutes away. It's just...
Got a bin there. Just there.
Ah, perfect. So when it comes to cooking fish...
So what is your favorite fish?
Red mullet. I love red mullet.
I love John Dory.
John Dory is good too.
Yeah.
And both very good. And but I love the taste of red mullet because it feeds on shellfish, and you get this lovely kind of slightly oily flesh and this really lovely, quite saffrony taste of the skin, which is lovely.
Yeah.
And my last meal would probably be a grilled red mullet with some rosemary and some olive oil.
We used to serve it with fennel underneath.
Perfect combination. Perfect. So I've got this nice sea bass that I'm just going to trim up. And I'm going to just take the nice thick end. It seems wasteful, but just for presentation. But you can use the whole piece, obviously. And so we've got a piece of fish there. Now, I always tend to use, I've got veg oil. I've got some.
Yeah.
Perfect. I never use olive oil for frying fish. If you use olive oil, what happens is, as the temperature gets hotter and hotter, you just burn all the flavour and all the goodness from it. So a good non-flavoured oil, same with salad dressings, you know, a bit of olive oil and this for kind of structure. And the same with mayonnaises. Never make mayonnaises with pure, strong olive oil. You just end up with quite a peppery, or a very light olive oil is okay, but never your best sort of extra virgin. So the trick is to get the pan nice and hot. A little salt on the fish. I never put pepper on fish when I'm cooking. I like my pepper ground onto the plate afterwards. You get those really nice sort of lovely oils coming out, which is nice and fresh. So I think that's on.
Yeah, it's on, but sometimes in the air is, as you know, it takes a little longer.
So a nice sizzle when you put it in the pan, and you'll see the fish is extremely fresh, hence why it's curling up. But all you do is just keep it pressed down, and it'll relax and go back to its shape. Now, if the fish was a nice big thick piece of cod, thick piece of turbot, or a thick piece of sea bass even, I have my oven on maximum. And what I use is the pan and the oven. If you try and cook your fish all the way through in the pan, if it's very thick, all you do is overcook one part of it. So give it some colour in the pan, then pop the whole pan in the oven. Make sure it hasn't got a plastic handle. And the oven on maximum. And fish just likes to be kind of just set. Okay, that's coming on nicely. And the thing is to just relax about it. You know, a lot of people put fish in the pan, quite nervous about cooking it. Prod it, a good non-stick pan, and it won't stick. It'll be fine. My mum's the same. Prod, 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 prod. We end up with fish cakes.
Yeah. So how long would you cook this for?
Well, the thing is,
2 minutes either side, or?
well, what I like to do with fish like this is quite thin. I leave it on the skin side because I'm looking for a nice crispy skin, because sea bass skin is very, very good to eat. So I'm just going to keep it here, and you can see the fish. It's sort of, you know, you can see where it's cooking and the temperature's moving up. So I'm, with a thin piece like this, I'll cook it all the way through virtually on this side. Turn it over and just 1 minute and then serve it, and that's it. And but you
so
can
really,
see,
you should ask your fishmonger to scale it as well.
take the scales off, unless of course you're baking it in salt or something like that. But
Exactly,
taking your preparation from the fishmonger is always to scale, fillet, and pin it is the correct words.
Yeah.
So let's have a taste of this.
With a spoon? Yeah.
Okay. Salt. It needs. Have we got sugar, Jack, as well?
Sugar, yes.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to make up just a little bit of red wine vinegar. Mixed with sugar. Good amount of sugar in there. And this adds a very, very... My fish is nearly cooked there. Got a nice colour on the other side.
So that's one thing that we got to really emphasize, that don't overcooking the fish, especially when it's so fresh like that. Don't overcook it.
No, absolutely, no.
Yeah.
And but you know, fish is actually quite forgiving. If you neglect it, it'll overcook. But I mean, you know, it'll sit there comfortably for 4 or 5 minutes resting. And now I can just let the heat of the pan finish the cooking of the fish. But in here, the sugar and vinegar mix gives this a really wonderful, very sweet and sour taste. I'm going to add a little bit more cumin, I think.
Yep, yeah, it is.
Because
sometimes what I do, I mix cumin and coriander powder.
very nice.
Nice little seasoning, you know, for fish as well. So mix both of them equal quantity.
And flavoured peppermills. I love to put different things in peppermills. So fennel seeds, white peppercorns, black peppercorns. Got these wonderful Nepalese peppercorns in the restaurant that taste of grapefruit, and they're quite numbing if you bite a whole one. But if you mix them up in a peppermill with a bit of salt, and you grind it over some fried squid or some cooked scallops, you get this lovely fresh pepper, which is really, really fantastic. So we'll have some basil in here as well, I think. Lovely fresh basil. And just roll up a leaf, a nice big one, and then just nice and fine.
Do you want a bit of thyme as well?
No, I think I'll just basil it today, Jack.
Okay.
And then in here, stirred around, just to add that nice fresh taste at the end. Now, I'm not a big lover of fish sitting on top of things. I like to see what I'm eating. So you've got your pepperonata, your sea bass, and I think I might make a little dressing actually, with some. We've got another one of those dishes, Jack.
Yeah, we got one of those little ones there.
And I've got a garlic clove here. I'm just going to add a touch of salt to it. I've just crushed it, and then I'm going to crush it really, really fine with the edge of the knife. It's this much in there. I think I'll add a touch more basil to the garlic. It's very kind of there, and a touch of olive oil. Lemon juice. And always with these kind of dressings, season them. Olive oil is much better for being seasoned. So we've got this quite garlicky, basil-y little dressing, which all you need is just a touch over the top of the fish. You don't need to have lots, but it'll just add another dimension to the fish, and that's it. So you have a lovely plate of clams to share. You have some pepperonata, and
beautiful.
And this is it. So these are the two dishes I've got to show you. And if you have any questions about fish cookery or anything, then let me know.
So really, is this what? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.